Hello, my name is Yewande. Welcome to Knitting the Blues. I really want to give a warm welcome to anybody watching this video, and particularly all the new subscribers that have shown up over the last while. Thank you so much. I need to give a very big thank you and shout out to the amazing Regina and Marion of the Two Sisters Knitting Talking Shit podcast, which is an amazing podcast that I remember watching the very first episode and laughing and giggling and just, feeling my insides warm up. And now I don't know how many episodes we're in. And then in the latest one, at least latest at the time of recording this video, there are Marion and Regina saying, hey, we came across Knitting the Blues and it seems interesting and check it out. Thank you so much. That kind of generosity is super warm. And many people popped into the podcast and left a comment and said, we're here because, we heard about you on this other podcast. So it made a difference. Thank you so much. So I wanted to tell you about something interesting that happened. I was tidying my home, as one does, and I guess something fell on the floor. I didn't really notice. And one of my sons said, what's that? And when I picked it up off the floor, I saw this. In case it is not obvious, that 5-year-old is me. Many years ago. This is a picture I know well. So the minute I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's me, that's your mama. And I said, my mom's handwriting at the back says, London, 1985. So I was 5. And my grandparents, who were originally from the Caribbean, they were Barbadian. And I was born in Barbados, in fact. My grandparents migrated, like many people, during the Windrush times to England. They settled in London, Lewisham to be specific, and I was living in Nigeria in Ile-Ife. We would go, me, my 2 older brothers, my father and my mother, and we would visit my grandparents in Lewisham. And this must have been such a time. I mean, maybe that very wall is a Lewisham wall. I don't remember that well, but for the first time, when my children drew my attention to this picture, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Guess what really struck me? The sweater I'm wearing. I'm wearing an interesting sweater. And when I saw it, I thought to myself, what if I could recreate that? And so, good people, that's what today is going to be all about. I am asking you to come along as I attempt to plan a project to recreate my childhood sweater. I'm wearing 2 knitted items, so I'm doing the side thing because the beauty of this one is this excellent pattern down the side here. I'll put a picture, I think, because it's hard to see with me wearing it. It's gray on gray, isn't it? I don't know if that's a fashion faux pas. This vest part is the Always Vest by Anna Daku. It's really nice. I love this thing so much. I think it was the 5th or 4th thing I made. I bought the yarn. I bought it on that same Greek trip I think I mentioned in a previous podcast. I bought it there. I can't remember how many skeins, maybe 4. It's lamb's wool. It's a lovely pattern. It's memorable for one reason. I was knitting it. It was the first time I was doing faux cables, and I was just loving this pattern on the side. And I made a mistake. It's kind of the first time I made a mistake, and I kept going. And then I asked my husband, I was like, look at that. Can you tell that something's wrong? Because when you look at a mistake as a knitter, you've made a mistake, and then you look at it. And for me anyway, what I'm trying to assess is it obvious? Is it not obvious? Do I need to correct that? Does it bother me? Is it a problem? I mean, there is, you do a little bit of an assessment. And my husband, looked and said, yeah, there's a mistake. Damn it. And I ripped back and I fixed it. On top of the Always vest, I am wearing my Darling cardigan by Veronica Lindbergh of Kutovakika. And it's got these, let me show you. I wonder if it'll come through nicely. It's got these buttons that I think are quite sweet. They're just plastic buttons that I found in a store with these yellow and green flowers on them. Now, this was my first cardigan, my first experience of buttons and button bands. And it was a double knitted button band, which is quite an endeavor. And I guess anyone watching maybe who isn't familiar with double knitted button bands, all that means is it's a tube. And, a button band of a cardigan is like it's a structural piece that really holds the cardigan together. It's going to have to be strong enough to carry the buttons, it's called a placket, it's really this thing that brings it all together. So many designers have you do what they call they'd have you do double knitting so that it's a tube and it's quite thick and strong and gives structure. And so she has this double knitted button band, but you have to understand, this is the band. This is what you're knitting. So it takes a really long time. I loved it. Once I understood, and she's so great with her instructions, they were super clear. It wasn't confusing. Once I understood what it was I was doing, I started and I finished, and you do feel like you're, sometimes when you're with a designer, it feels like you're standing on the edge of a cliff and they're saying, go, jump, you'll be fine. I've checked it before. I did it. Go, jump. And you're like, are you sure? Like the floor is really far down. Are you jump? And, then you jump. And usually, at least in this instance, you saw. I love this thing. It's the warmest thing I own. And so I've worn it almost every day this winter. Let me just be honest. I've worn it almost every day this winter. I probably swap it out occasionally to give it a bit of a rest and air it out a bit. But this thing works for me. I have worn it plenty. It's, in fact, as you know, or you might not know, but I talked about it in another podcast, I think episode 3, where I talked about knitting the pearl sweater by Lene Holm Samso, Le Knit. And it's a nice, it's a sweater that's knit with Aran weight mixed with alpaca. It's going to be another warm one. Now I'll have 2 warm sweaters so that this can rest. That one's a pullover. This is a cardigan. But for now, this is what I wear. I pretty much wear it every day. It's made from African Expressions, my trusty African Expressions. And I held it with a dark gray, I think it was Sharkenmeyer mohair. I find them quite affordable here. And so I think there was one day I was looking for mohair and I wanted to try the African Expressions mohair, but the shop I was in didn't hold that African Expressions product. They have the product, I think it's their Love mohair, their Love product. It's called Love. They have different names for the different yarn types, and Love is the mohair brand. Love is the name for the mohair. And then the lady working there, and I was looking at the Rowan kid silk, which is kind of expensive. And she said, come try this one. And she handed me the Sharkenmeyer. And I bought that and I used it. I will say it's scratchy. I can't, but as you see, I can't wear it against my skin. It will itch me. But as it is now, I'm fine. And I never need to wear this against my skin. It's a warm thing that I would always be wearing over other clothing. So it really works perfectly. It could probably do with some TLC, considering I wear it so much. And now I'm really not being shy and showing you all my my underarms. But I just want to show you like the pilling and this one. I'm not the fussy person about pilling. Some pilling. This is probably, I should probably give this a bit of a shave, and I will. Maybe once the pearl sweater is ready, it should be ready any day now. And I know I can wear that for a bit while I take care of this, give it a nice wash, dry it. It might take a few days to dry because it's really heavy with the mohair and everything. And then debobble it and give it some love. But this is a nice thing. And I do get the odd compliment. So I went to my physio just for, a matter we were dealing with, and it was a cold morning. I had this on, and she said, "Wow, that sweater," and I just, beamed. whenever, yeah, I just beamed. In fact, I got another compliment. This was in a knitting shop, so by a knitter. So it still counts, of course, but I think, knitters know. She just said, "Oh, did you make that? That's really beautiful." One thing just to end off with, gray. Before I started knitting, I would think, "Oh, gray. Gray is just an amazing color." In sometimes in storytelling, everything was gray, and there's a sense that gray is drab. Gray is this beautiful, sexy, kind of nuanced, gray, man. I just like, who thought that gray would be a color that I would want to do things with? But apparently it is. Couple of things struck me instantly about this sweater. I'll put a picture up as I'm looking at it down here. You can look at it up in the corner. Firstly, do you notice it's blue? So, 5-year-old me and, many years older me, I'm 45, we still have a bit of a soft spot for blue. It's beautiful, deep navy blue, and then there's a much lighter, I suppose, pastel, would you say sky blue? And then there's a white. So it's 3 colors. So the color struck me. I thought, I love that. I want to make that. The other thing that struck me, I haven't ever knit any color work. So I've never knit color work. I'm fascinated by color work. Of course, I have deep admiration for people who do color work and for designers of color work. It feels intricate. It feels technically demanding. Of course, it's beautiful. And, somewhere in my future, I know that I want to knit color work, and I've just haven't gotten around to it or found anything. And when I saw this, I liked it immediately. And I thought, wow, that could be my introduction to color work. Now, something quite specific about this I like. Yes, I like color work. No, I do not like the circular yoke. Don't come after me. I know they're beautiful. There's nothing wrong with them. I just think when I put a circular yoke onto my own body, maybe it's because I'm quite angular. I don't know. I think when I see circular yoke with somebody with really beautiful curves, I think it looks gorgeous. Now, this is possibly more me than anything else. We all have our idea about ourselves and what works for us and what doesn't. And somehow I feel I kind of get lost in a circular yoke outfit. And what I've found is that a lot of color work is circular yoke. So that's also been why I haven't necessarily picked a project, because I don't often see non-circular yoke sweaters. Maybe I'm not looking in the right places. So please, if you have suggestions for some great colorwork sweaters that don't have that circular yoke thing going on, feel free to share them in the comments. I'd be very happy to check them out. I obviously don't know all the patterns in the world, but a lot of the colorwork sweaters that I do see, at least the popular ones, they are often circular yokes. So that was also what I loved about that. Isn't it interesting that it's not circular yoke? So that also struck me. And then, it's got interesting details. Well, I thought for today's video, I will tell you a little bit about this photograph, which I've done already. And then I wanted to go into a bit more detail with you about the construction of the sweater, at least my assessment of it. Again, remember, novice over here. So if I'm breaking up the construction incorrectly, be quick to correct me. But I want to go over my sense of what the construction is, and then use those details to go onto Ravelry and look for some patterns. Spoiler, obviously I went on to Ravelry already, because anyone who's gone onto Ravelry and done the advanced search knows how intense it can be. So I didn't want to drag you through that labor. So I did an initial scan, and I have a few options that I want to share with you. Then I have to make a choice. And eventually one day, of course, I want to be able to knit this. But let's start by looking at the sweater details. So I love to sketch. And so I also thought maybe by drawing the sweater, I could start to understand how the pieces fit together. By my estimation, this is a drop shoulder. Okay, it doesn't look to me like a raglan. The photo is old, it's not digital in any way. It's good old school photograph. It's even, as you can see, torn. I don't know how that happened. Even so, 40-year-old photograph, still here, color still there. But as far as I can tell, this is not raglan. I can see in my eyes, but I can see just the hint of a line, like a little buckle, the way you can see on this sweater. Just the hint of a buckle, which has me think it's a drop shoulder. So I'm going with drop shoulder. It's long sleeve, obviously. The pattern, the Colourwork pattern, it's 3 colors, and it looks to me like they are kind of layers of pattern. I'm not going to be fixated on that pattern. I don't feel particularly confident to simply recreate my own pattern at this stage. I might swing back to that in about a decade, but so I will follow whatever pattern I choose, and I assume that their detailing will be a bit different. But if I can match the detailing to some degree, that would be nice. So it's so hard to see what the motif is here, but it's geometric, and I find that really appealing. I noticed that I wouldn't mind omitting the bangle detail and the kind of bottom detail. I don't think I would miss it if that wasn't there, and it feels a bit extraneous. So I might omit that if in a pattern, and at least that would not be a big requirement that there's another pattern, particularly because it's like a whole other pattern at the bottom, and I think it starts getting a bit much, I feel. I think it's quite enough to have this kind of bust pattern along the chest, and then the armbands. That's what I think of those two as. Last thing about the pattern. So it's a cardigan, it's open down the front, and it's a zip. Now, I've never done a zip. It will be a nice challenge. I notice feeling a little daunted. So yeah, if I can't find a zip, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I looked at the patterns I chose. I can't remember if one of them is a zip. But if it's not a zip and it's buttons, that's fine. So that's my sense of what I'm dealing with in terms of this pattern and the elements of the pattern, the construction. I can't, I imagine this was machine knit, right? But I don't know if one was going to make this by hand, whether you do bottom up or you start at the back. I suppose if it's dropped shoulders, the idea is typical drop shoulder. You start at the back, you knit that trapezium, you knit the arms across, you join at some point, you pick up for sleeves later, and then you knit the body. But of course, it's cardigan. I mean, I'm way in over my head in case you haven't noticed. But I would like to now show you the patterns that I came up with. Before we go into that, about the patterns, anyone who's searched on Ravelry, I mean, you just go down a rabbit hole, and 3 hours later, it's 3 a.m. and you should be asleep because you're going to have to be up at 8 a.m. and so on and so forth. That's how my Ravelry visits go when I'm looking for patterns. So I thought, well, before I go in, obviously you need your criteria. So what did I search for? I decided a lot of my Ravelry searches were coming up with the circular yoke. This is now a hard no. It will not be circular yoke. It will be this one. That's a key element of what I want to knit. And so I was trying to look for the wording to eliminate circular yokes. I struggled because you can't say non-circular. So I was looking in the Ravelry has this wonderful list of characteristics and so on. I was trying to work out which one would be this. And I'm not sure that I could quite get it right, but I went back and forth. In the end, I probably searched 2 or 3 rounds. One search I did was like searching for two color work that uses 2 colors. One search I did, I think I said Fair Isle. I mean, I don't know a lot about color work. I don't know that this is not, typical Fair Isle, is it? But it looked Fair Isle-y to me. So I just threw it out there. I also went to some like well-known color work people or designers that I really like. And I thought, well, what color work do they have? I really did a mishmash of searches. But I came up with 3 potential patterns. And I want to show them to you now. Sorry, I lied. I said 3. I came up with 4. So let's start with this one. This is the Kerr sweater by none other than Rebecca Clow. I have knitted her Tolster tee. I loved it. She's incredibly popular. This pattern in particular has 342 projects, which is plenty. Everybody seems particularly happy with it. Lots of stars. I like it. It's the armbands. It's the chest motif. I love the pattern, the motif that she's using. It's simple, it feels elegant, it's 2 color. It really is the sweater. I mean, but of course you would notice it's not, it's not a cardigan. Could I steek it? Maybe I could steek it. I could, it's drop shoulder, that's also great. But maybe I could steek it? I wonder if I could steek it. Let's talk a little bit about the pattern itself. So this pattern was launched in November 25th. I wonder if that's last year. It doesn't say. The Kerr sweater is a relaxed fit drop shoulder sweater with a colorwork band across the chest and upper arms. It's knit top down, working the back and fronts flat and then joining them in the round. The motif is then worked using stranded colorwork, and the body and sleeves are finished with stockinette and a chunky 2x2 rib. What's nice about this sweater, and Rebecca Clow is great in this way, is her sweaters can be knit in lots of different weights. So the pattern accommodates a DK, sport, fingering, held double, or fingering and a mohair. So that's wonderful that they're all the modifications. I even see that you could do the band bigger or smaller. It comes in sizes 1 to 11. The gauge is 22 stitches by 30 rows. And it recommends a positive ease of 2 to 10 centimeters. I really, really like it. This is a strong contender. I really like it. Let's check number 2. Sweater number 2 is the Cassiopeia cardigan. I hope I'm pronouncing that the way it ought to be. By Berger Berger. It's a beautiful, really elegant sweater. It reminds me a little bit of the one we just saw by Rebecca Clow, the Kerr sweater. But this one doesn't have armbands. This one, the motif is at the very wrist. And I must say it's nice. I know I said I didn't like the wrist in the other one, but I think what I didn't like is the wrist in 2 places, is the arm detail in 2 places versus 1. This is nice because it is already, I don't know if it's steeked, I'll check in a moment, but it's already a cardigan. I don't have to turn it into a cardigan. It's a bit fitting, but I presume I could make it a little bit less fitting. But yeah, I really love this. Let's read a bit about the pattern itself. So it is knit in worsted weight, and the gauge is 21 stitches and 26 rows. It's knit in 3.5, 4, and 4.5 millimeter needles. And the sizes go from XS to 4XL. I wanted to see if it says anything here about being steeked. Sure enough, there it is. Okay. Oh, wow, it's a free pattern. That's pretty awesome. I mean, that alone as a free pattern Well, that alone recommends it very highly, I must say. Okay, it's got 41 projects. The stars are, for a newbie like me, I look at the stars because it tells me, I want to know that it's clear, for instance, because I worry, and because it's free, I understand they're not really able to help answer lots and lots of questions about the pattern. And they don't respond to DMs on Ravelry, they say. So if I got into trouble, I'm not sure. Clarity-wise, we're on a 2.5 from 15 votes. Average difficulty, halfway. If I were feeling adventurous, it certainly looks worth it. Very beautiful. And that green color, my gosh. Okay. So that is the Cassiopeia or Cassiopeia cardigan. Let's go to option number 3. Here we have the 50 to 13 Marius Genza by Sandness Design. I do love this. It's you will see it's a little different from the inspiration. It's got the armbands, but it's not so much the chest motif. It's more or the upper chest rather than the middle bust area. I think it's very elegant. I find it very beautiful. It's the 3 colors. So far, the 2 we've looked at were 2 colors. This is the first 3 color that we're seeing. I love these colors, the blue, the red, the white. Let's have a look. So this is knit in sport weight. It's 26 stitches, doesn't say about the rows, and it's 2.5 millimeter and 3 millimeter needles. So a little finer gauge than I think previous ones, I should say. So it might take a while, but again, looks like it would be worth it. Size-wise, the sizes range from a 76 centimeter bust to 111. Like the first sweater, this is not cardigan, right? So far we've seen the Kerr sweater that was just a full-on normal sweater. We then saw a cardigan with buttons, and now we're seeing again just a full pullover. Could I turn it into a cardigan, create my own steeks? I know that's possible. Do I want to? Do I want to? There's so many elements that will be new to me already. Do I want to add more headache? Let's see if there's anything else about the pattern that's interesting. Okay, there are 26 projects, rating of 3, which seems reasonable enough. Okay, not much else. It's a rather sparse pattern page, but I guess the photograph, just that single photograph, says all you need to know. And with that, let us go to the final pattern option. So this is the Gudrun sweater by Katrine Hannibal at Onling. I just think it's beautiful. I think it's very elegant. Like the inspiration pattern, it has the bangles and the bottom detail along with the chest and armbands. And I think this pulls it off a little better because it feels more cohesive. So if I were to do this, I think I will actually keep those details. I love the motif on this pattern. It's, they look like diamonds in the middle there. Okay, let's see what we can see about this. So this is knit in DK, which is absolutely respectable. It's got 21 stitches by 29 rows of the gauge and is knit in a 4.5 millimeter needle. It goes from an XL in terms of size to a 3XL. So let's read a bit about the Gudrun sweater. Gudrun is our take on a classical Faroese-inspired Nordic sweater with a modern approach to pattern and fit. The design is oversized, i.e. very loose fitting with a positive ease of approximately 15 to 20 centimeters. A short design with deep armholes and long sleeves. I love the black and white. There are 18 projects on Ravelry. Fairly decent clarity rating, albeit from 5 votes. This is a raglan, so it's not the drop shoulder, but it is beautiful and I love it. I wonder if I may or may not keep the turtleneck if I did this. I'm not sold on turtlenecks just yet. And then again, would I convert this into a cardigan or just knit it as it is. I think there is one, I've made the decision that I know that I want a non-circular yoke. I think what I haven't finalized for myself is if I can't find what I'm looking for in cardigan format, but maybe I should be a bit more purist. The original sweater is a cardigan. Let's stick to that. I don't know. I haven't really, can't decide. So there you have it. The 4 options. We have the Kerr sweater. We have the Cassiopeia cardigan. We have the 50-13 Marius Genza. And we have the Gudrun sweater. Which shall it be? So those are the 4 potential patterns. I mean, they're all really wonderful. They all have different things that recommend them. I would actually love if anybody watching has an opinion. Look, it's my first Colourwork pattern. I don't know. I need to kind of assess the 4. Maybe I'll create a rating system. Not in this video. I think I still need to think a bit about how I do the rating system, but maybe I'll create a rating system to make a decision. I'm having fun. It's not that big a deal. It ain't that deep, but it's fun. It's just in the name of some good fun. If you have any thoughts or you have a preference, please let me know. I'd love to hear. I could be swayed. I don't have any decision at the moment. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll think about it. I will think about it now and think of the 4 and think of I think I want something easy. I want something to honor my childhood sweater. Maybe the elements will obviously not be exactly the same. Like none of these are a zip. And I'm not skilled enough to turn them into a zip, I don't think. I'll do that one day. I know that Petite Knit has that really popular zip pattern. I think if I were going to do a zip, I'd want to do it with a sort of a Petite Knit type of person or any of the other amazing designers that are really clear in their pattern writing and hold hand a bit because I'm new at it. And I think in the end we had 1 cardigan and 3 actually full pullovers, right? In my head I'm thinking, what I see? Yeah. But only 1 was cardigan. I think I'd be open to creating my own steeks to cut something open. I think I'm adventurous enough for that because I've watched a few podcasts about steeking and I know there's a lot on the internet to guide me and it might be fun. But I wonder how, let me think a bit. And then that free pattern, I'm just going to go in there and actually have a look because it's free. I don't have to buy it to peruse. So I need to make that decision. Then of course there's the question of yarn. I don't keep a big stash of yarn in my home. I have like a modest size of things in terms of what I'm about to do or a project I have that I'll knit that in 3 months. Or sometimes I've bought stuff because of sale. So I might have, I think I have 3 sweater quantities, which is considerable, of course, but I know what I'm going to do with them. None of them are particularly right for this. I was thinking of yarn. It'd be a bit of a luxury spend, at least for me. But I was thinking, there's something about the particular range of colors that Cowgirl Blues has. I'll put an image up on now for you to see that I really like. I love the blue, I love the red, and I love the kind of the gray. And I was thinking like for those 3 colors, if I did a 3-color thing, and it makes me think of the one pattern that had the white, blue, and the red. It's just something that appeals to me about that. I mean, if I wanted to be a stickler, then it would be like, okay, it's got to be the cardigan. And then the closest thing is that second option, the Cassiopeia, but with buttons. That would be like, but I mean, I'm not being a stickler. This is a fun, it's not a science project. It's a fun, creative endeavor, and I can play around. And at the end, it's going to probably be quite a bit of work. So I want to make something that I love and that I'm going to get plenty of wear out of. I will meditate on the 4 options. I will look out for any thoughts you might have, and I will eventually make a decision. And when I do, you'll be the first to know. Till then, please take care. Happy knitting and making and crocheting, whatever it is you're up to. Bye for now.